Hi everyone, I'm Kelly, and this video is what I baked this week as a mom with a 9-to-5 job. I'll be showing you all the bakes and also hopefully it gives you an idea of how you can fit baking into your work week schedule. And if you're new here, I also challenged myself this year to not buy bread from the grocery store. So I'll be doing a little progress report for the month of February at the end of this video to see how I'm tracking towards that goal. So to start off the week, I made baguettes to go with our dinner. I learned how to make them earlier in that weekend, and so I wanted to try making them again and see if I could improve from my first attempt. So the night before going to bed, this was Sunday night, I made the poolish, and that's just mixing flour, water, and yeast. And the point of making the poolish is that it's a pre-ferment, which will help make the bread taste better. So the next day I made the dough and kind of kept an eye on it throughout the day. Overall, I'm really proud of how these turned out because I shaped them better. I was also really happy with the scoring. They didn't stick to the pan, which ended up happening with my attempts for making these again, and you'll see that in future videos. I also love having a bread and soup dinner because my daughter, she loves dipping the bread in the soup, and so it's always just fun seeing her enjoy that.
Dipping it.
Makes it yummy.
So my midweek bake this week again was banana bread, and it's the same recipe that I used from Claire Saffitz from episode 1 of this whole baking series. And actually I was supposed to bake something else during the week, but we had ripe bananas and Anthony was craving it, so we just ended up making this banana bread again. But we were labbing this time because we did not have enough eggs. Anthony was making carbonara for dinner, which required like 7 or so egg yolks. We decided that we'd just try making the banana bread with just egg whites.
Perfect! Good job, that was perfect. Daddy. Perfect. We need 4. Okay? Nice. So how many is that? 1. Ready? Nice. 3. What's after 3?
7.
7? That is after, technically.
And then this is also a nice bake to do just kind of like throughout the evening because it's not something that is very time sensitive when you're mixing the ingredients or anything like that. So we mixed the dry ingredients together, and then after that you're supposed to mix the wet ingredients, and then you combine wet and dry and then fold in the chocolate chips and the almonds. But we had to eat in between then, so once we were done with the dry ingredients, then we ate our dinner, and then when Anthony was putting our daughter down for bed, I just continued with the wet ingredients and the rest of the recipe. And the bread actually turned out okay, not bad. Now moving on to my 4th attempt at trying to master the bagel and get onto Mount Bagel level. So something that I've learned from baking more through this challenge is that planning helps a lot. A quick kind of like shortcut is usually I want something baked for our weekend breakfast, Saturday, Sunday. So I'll just have to start that dough Friday night or Saturday night. So for this, I wanted to have bagels Saturday morning, and so I made the dough Friday night. We had dinner, my daughter went to sleep, and then I started making the dough. And then you can see here too, while I'm mixing the dough, I'll check occasionally to see if enough gluten has developed. And the way that you can do that is with the window pane test. So I'll take a piece of the dough, flatten it out, and then let it rest for a bit, and then I'll stretch it. And if the dough doesn't break and can stretch out thin enough to let light through, then that means enough gluten has developed, and then your bread will rise better. And then once the dough is all made, then we could just hang out and watch TV. And then after an hour and a half or so, check on the dough and see if it rose enough. And then once it did rise, then portion out the dough and shape them into bagels, and then put them in the fridge overnight.
Kind of mess. I know. It's because when I like put the things together. Dang it. Bruh. It sunk. No! Let's see. Oh, I mean, it's floating now. But I don't know if it just caught on bubbles or something.
Okay, now moving on to sourdough loaf, which I haven't attempted in almost a year. My last attempt was last May, and I wasn't super happy about that one. But the one that I am most proud of was, I think, the very first time that I made this loaf in November 2023.
Wow! Wow, look at that! Look at that. Oh my gosh.
Since I'm getting more into bread making again, I needed to try making another sourdough loaf. So I just followed the recipe that I wrote down when I made it the first time. And what's interesting about sourdough recipes is you can kind of make it your own. It's just flour, starter, water, and salt. Flour is represented as 100%, and then everything else is just a percentage of the amount of flour, and that's called baker's percentages or baker's math. And you can also use that to adjust your recipe based on like the amount of ingredients that you have. So in this case, I actually didn't feed my sourdough starter enough, so I didn't have enough sourdough starter, so I had to do some math to kind of figure out how much water, flour, and salt that I needed for the recipe.
the lid. Let's see how this works. Oh, there's some oven springs. There is an ear. Yummy bread. I think that's good crust. Real.
No, buddy.
Actually, this is pretty good, actually.
No,
We thought it would be.
This is the one that went down.
Yeah. I thought it would be over fermented.
Mommy baked.
That's good. You like it? Yeah? We'll eat it with some good butter later. Yeah? Okay.
Progress report time. Week 6, February 2 to 8. I'm actually not counting that week because I was on vacation that week in Cancun. We did have bread from the grocery store, but at least they were all pan dulces, so at least I got to try different breads. Then the next week, February 9 to 15, was a success. I made the flatbread from the last video and also the baguettes from the last video. February 16 to 22, also a success. Those are all the bakes that I did in this video. And then, well, actually, it was the baguette, banana bread, and bagels. And then February 23 to March 1, also a success, which was my sourdough loaf. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more videos like this, you can check out episodes 1 and 2 of this baking series. I'll see you later. Bye.